All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So the NFL owners meetings are taking place and everyone's there, right? Coaches, general managers, media members. By the way, don't mind the mess in the back here. But in any case, Darren Mougey met with the media not too long ago, local media, Jets beat reporters, and answered a couple questions. Didn't give any bold statements or any sort of bombshell types of quotes or anything like that. He almost just confirmed a lot of the questions or hunches that Jets fans had, really since kind of the end of the first couple of waves of free agency. So the first thing that Mougey tackled was the starting quarterback position. It's Justin Fields. Right now, it was kind of a question amongst the Jets beat reporters, like, hey, Fields isn't going to be guaranteed anything. He's, it's not like essentially he's going to have to compete. But I mean, you take a look at the age, you take a look at the potential, you take a look at, where Justin Fields is currently at compared to the rest of the quarterbacks on the roster. He's going to be the starting quarterback. He's not signing a deal, a 2-year deal with $30 million guaranteed to start the year off backing up Tyrod Taylor. It's just not in the cards, right? It's simply not happening. And again, Darren Mougey, again, just kind of debunked that whole thing. Fields is the guy. I did say that Tyrod Taylor is going to be on his heels, which I think is just literally the A+ perfect answer that you can give to a question like that, right? Because it's not like you're throwing the backup under the bus or anything like that. But Fields is going to be the starting quarterback. Awesome. In regards to, Mougey's thoughts, premium position versus non-premium position, talking about pick number 7, the NFL draft, Mougey said, I just want to add good football players, right? It's whenever you're in a position where you're constantly adding good football players, chances are that's going to translate into you over time turning into a good team, which again, I thought was a great answer, right? Because even if that's just a complete lie and he really values the important positions, so, in the Jets case here, tackle over tight end, why would you say that to the media and just give everyone just an indication of where you might be leaning in the draft? If you're thinking, if Mougey's going to sit up there and say, oh yeah, we take a look at edge, we take a look at quarterback, we take a look at, the tackle position, and, we really want to maximize the talent, the talent levels there. I mean, that's a direct indicator. Okay, you know what? Probably Membu or somebody like that with that 7th overall pick. So a good, just basically a non-answer here. But again, I thought it was totally appropriate. In regards to potentially extending Garrett Wilson, AVT, Sauce Gardner, a couple of the young guys that we have that are due up for extensions, I honestly would not be shocked if news were to come out today at some point. But, Mougey did say that he's going to be tackling those things post-draft, right? Not really going to get into the specifics of it. He just, wants to get into it post-draft, kind of reassess things after this new draft class is loaded in. And again, as good as these players are, Mougey didn't draft them. So, I'm not going to say, and even though, us as Jets fans, we've watched these players play at a pretty high level, Gardner, of course, tailed off last season, but, for the most part, these guys are young. They still have room to grow. They're still, talented players on this team that I envision, a lot of people envision here for a long, long time. And, especially in this day and age, the cap is going up. The NFL is super, super popular. The Jets, it's not like we have some sort of Deshaun Watson contract hanging over our heads, Kirk Cousins deal hanging over our heads. The common sense, it's like, okay, you know what, let's just sign our own homegrown guys, not wait to the last minute like Dallas, right? Let's be proactive like the Buffalo Bills. All these guys that they're re-signing on cheap prices, that's not a coincidence. I'm not saying that the Jets are going to be getting great deals like that because of where the Jets are currently at compared to Buffalo, first place in the AFC East every single season. But you guys know what I mean, right? It's better to get out in front of it, be proactive, really engage in those talks. But it's looking like the Jets are going to do that post-draft, assuming Mougey's telling the truth here. But, even in a situation like that, I really don't see what the benefit is in, misleading anybody or just trying to spin the story or trying to give a vague answer in that regard. I don't really think it impacts all that much. Now, here is kind of this, based off the Jets free agent signings, right? Justin Fields, you're going down the list, right? Brandon Stevens, Cisco. One of the interesting additions was Josh Myers, right? Josh Myers, you look at the starts that he's had under his belt for the Green Bay Packers. It's quite a lot, right? I mean, he's been a multi-year starter, no questions asked. Granted, he's not one of the better centers in football, just being, realistic here, just looking at the pure numbers. There's a reason why Green Bay let him walk for $3.5 million, but he's still a guy who started a lot of games nonetheless, and he has that connection with Justin Fields. Anyway, the initial thought was, okay, if he's being brought in, could he potentially start, and then you move Tippmann to guard, and then AVT to tackle? That, to me, just always kind of felt like too many moving parts. We know Tippmann is better as a center than guard. We know AVT is better as a guard than tackle. The way I would kind of approach it if I was a general manager, it's my job to fill holes, find talent for this roster, for this team. If the vacancy is right tackle, it's my job to go out and find that right tackle. I'm going to go and make that happen. Not this, okay, you know what, we have to try to pinch pennies and try to, sign a cheap center that we like, and then, have this ginormous reshuffle to, hopefully neutralize right tackle, even though we're playing two guys out of position, even though they can play those positions. They're not playing at their best at those positions. They're not maximizing their skill sets, maximizing their talent levels. I think the right move here, just go draft a right tackle. That's really what it comes down to for me. But anyway, Darren Mougey said, Josh Myers is going to be competing with Joe Tippmann for that starting center role, but said that AVT is going to be sticking at guard. Again, smart move here, in my opinion. And again, it's not to say that AVT is a horrible tackle option, but I just feel like the Jets have I don't like drafting offensive line. The Jets' approach with offensive line over these last handful of years has been just like infuriating from afar, right? Because you're watching guys get drafted and then they're practicing at different positions, right? I did an interview with Landon Tangwell, Olu's he's starting left guard for the Penn State Nittany Lions with Olu, and he talked about the swap, right? Going from tackle to guard or left side to the right side. Like, it's not just this plug and play, super easy. Some guys can do it. Some guys have a bigger transition, right? We saw Olu really dominate last year on the left side. So I think it's just keep it status quo. Olu left tackle, John Simpson left guard, Tippmann or Myers center, whoever wins the job, AVT right guard, and then it's Mougey's job to go out and find that right tackle. At this point, you can go out and get Membu in the first round, Cornelius from Oregon, Williams from Texas, Trapilo from Boston College, three guys that make a ton of sense. If maybe a Josh Connerly is there in round 2, I doubt he will be. Because, you get the Chiefs there, you get the Patriots in the early section of round 2. But if, the bottom line is there's going to be tackles pretty much riddled throughout the first 2 to 3 rounds here. The Jets should be fine, and the Jets should be drafting a right tackle within those first 3 rounds. But, Aaron Glenn should be speaking to the media tomorrow at some point. I think it was 7:15 or 7:30. I have to double check on the time. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.